Hi, and welcome to another episode on ChequedTV. We're coming to you today from the Check.com World Headquarters located in downtown Saratoga Springs, New York. And as you know, ChequedTV is your source for the latest tips, tricks, and trends in human capital management. We film a new episode of the series every Friday afternoon here in Saratoga. So if you're ever in the neighborhood, we'd love to have you stop by, join our live studio audience, and let us know in advance so we can save you a seat. Today our topic is going to be how to build your recruitment brand and sourcing pipeline with automated reference checking. And our guest expert today is Vincent Smith. Vince is one of the product managers here at Checked, and in fact he's employee #1 after our founder Greg Moran. Vince also has over 15 years in the recruitment business, first as a recruiter in the IT bubble that existed around the .com bubble, and later he was with People Answers, a leading firm and pioneer in online assessments. So Vince, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. So Vince, recruitment brand. We hear a lot about it. I, as a marketing guy, think of brand, I always think of who's the audience I'm going to. When you're talking about your recruitment brand, who is the audience that HR needs to think about?
Well, really, there's two different audiences that we can think of that would fall into somebody that experiences your recruitment brand. One is obviously the candidates who you're already actively engaged in, but the other, and the one that nobody really thinks about, is actually references, right? And I say that references are exposed to your recruitment brand, and for that matter, your corporate brand. Because think about it like this: every single person that comes in contact with your company in any manner, right, walks away with some perception of your company, whether you want that or not. Anybody that interacts with your company is going to form some sort of a perception. And we never really think about the references as forming any perception of our company or being important, but really they are. And so what's the message that we want to convey, to those references? So, you have the old way, the phone way of interacting with references, where you're generally intruding on their day, somewhat invasive, interrupting them during meetings, and then asking them some potentially probing questions about their acquaintance. Is that necessarily going to leave a bad taste about your company? Maybe, maybe not. They may not care, but it's certainly not going to leave any good, any good representation or taste about your company. But we found that when you use an automated system, right, that protects their anonymity, it's email driven, allows them to answer references under the cloak of confidentiality on their own time schedule, from a smartphone, a couple minutes, at night, on the train, whenever, that does a couple of things, right? It really sets the stage for, wow, this company's doing something completely different. They're respecting my time. And they're kind of, you're showing them that you're progressive. So they still may not care, right, about the experience, but it's certainly not going to be a bad experience.
Right.
Right. It's kind of cool.
Right. So the automated reference check, I also imagine that you can touch a lot more references with an automated system than you could with a phone-based system.
Well, I mean, I would hope is common sense to most people. By phone, obviously, anybody's checked references before, it takes a long time. Calling people, leaving messages, could take weeks to get in touch with somebody, spend 20 minutes with them on the phone, an hour with them on the phone, who knows. It's very difficult to scale that across enough people to make a difference or to get any meaningful information. It's painful.
So here you've got an ability to leverage a lot more of the automation factor.
Right. When you use an automated system, you're letting the candidate tell you who the references are. You click a button, and you can check a lot of references easily all at once without interfering with any of their days in a bad way.
Right. Now you, over your career, have checked a lot of references, right?
Yeah, started as a recruiter, way back when, and by default we checked a ton of references.
But what was the purpose of checking those references as a recruiter?
Interesting question, because we really didn't check them. We didn't care about the feedback we got about the candidate. The whole entire reason to check a reference was to try to get more candidates for our recruiting pipeline. See, as a recruiter, an agency recruiter especially, we're driven by the how many people you can place into positions and getting a large candidate pool. And it turns out that, well, let's put it this way: if you're hiring a sales manager, and you ask them for references, they're going to give you other salespeople, sales managers, and sales executives as references. Well, guess what? If I'm in the sales recruiting business, those are all, that's great. Those are all possible candidates that I want to have a conversation with, right? So, but once again, difficult to do, time-consuming. Most people don't enjoy being the reference.
And bringing it back to the automated system, automated reference checking, then, what can a company do with all this information that they gather?
Well, there's actually two parts to that, right? One, I'm going to circle back to the brand piece that we talked about in the beginning, because that brand and experience thing that we talk about is really crucial to your references because they are those potential candidates, right? There's a ton of value in who these people are to your organization. So not only do you want them to have a good experience, but you want to be able to put your recruitment brand and messaging out there to them. So a little difficult to do via phone, but it's very easy to do when you use an automated system where every interaction is branded back to your company. And in our case, with Checked Reference, the thank you page a reference sees when they're done is branded to our client companies.
Right.
And it funnels those people, that captive audience of references, your potential future candidates, back to the client's talent communities or job postings or career portals or what have you. And so you're effectively communicating your brand to that captive audience using an automated system. It's really neat. Really helps drive your recruitment brand and more candidates. The other part of that is actually you've captured all these references. Now, what do you do with them? Right? Well, in the old days, we had pieces of paper that we filled out, and for a candidate, and we put these pieces of paper in a file and stuck them in the filing cabinet, never to be seen again. Or maybe we kept a list on the side of our paper who the top people were. At best, we keep them in an Excel spreadsheet. With an automated system, though, especially with Checked Reference, we keep everything in a searchable online database. Right. So we're capturing all of this wonderful information. So you think about it, most people today on the automated reference systems are putting in between 5 and 8 references, whenever they apply for a job. Well, that's much different than the 3 that we used to collect, way back when. So if I've got 100 candidates over, say, a month for a given position, that's anywhere between 500 and 1,000 new potential candidates that I didn't have to do anything, I didn't have to work for. Now they're in my database.
Really big.
I can search by phone, area code, zip code, job title, so on and so forth. I can export to a CRM to put into campaigns. So there's a lot you can do with that information using an automated system.
Cool. So it really is night and day, the brand experience to the references as well as the power of the data that they can gather. That's
Correct.
Great stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we've had clients actually come to us because executives wound up being references for candidates that came through our system. The executives went through Checked Reference and said, "Holy cow, that's awesome! We need to be doing that because that makes us look good." And then, of course, once they're in our database, any references for that matter, we have a social media plugin, LinkedIn. So, I mean, everything that really enables the recruiter to do their job better.
So actually, then you're building the brand not just amongst the candidate, the references, and potentially everybody that those people know via social media extension. That's fantastic. Good stuff. I have one last question for you, Vince.
Please.
And I know the answer, but I think the audience would be interested. What are your plans for this weekend?
Oh boy. Well, they're not my plans. I just agreed to it somewhere along the way to do a 90-mile canoe race in the Adirondacks over 3 days. So about 8 hours of paddling a day, and
90 miles.
Yeah.
And it's Friday, and you're leaving tonight.
Yep.
Well, we better let you get out of here. We want to see you on Monday morning.
I hope. Maybe on the bottom of the Saranac.
We appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. And join us next time for our next episode of ChequedTV.